This is the Retirement Solution Podcast with financial advisor Jon Hicks, founder of J. Hagan Capital.
Is it too early to start saying, I'll say it quietly, recession?
Oh, don't say that. You'll wake the beast.
Is it too early?
You'll wake the beast.
Sorry.
I tell you, why is it? What is it about a word?
Yeah.
That somehow can just strike fear in so many people. But alas, it's true. We have not had that many recessions over the past, let's say, 30 years.
Yeah.
But we've had a few, and they hurt, right?
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. I think it was the sting of how bad 2001
if you're caught off guard,
Yeah.
or if, like I like to say, if the tide goes down and you find out that you didn't have any swim trunks on and everyone sees, oh, son of a monkey, that was not good. That water was really cold, by the way.
Yeah.
The water was really cold. Don't make any passing judgments. It's just okay. And somehow you find out that was uncomfortable. I don't like that. Mm-hmm. And some people, they leave the beach. They not only just pack up their stuff, they never come back. That's what happens with a lot of recessions.
Yep.
So, if there's one thing to learn in this environment, with this administration, there's no telling what's going to go out on tweet or X or said in the media and stir a whole bunch of ruckus up, right? Yeah. And some of it may be positive in the long run, but woo, man, it's a little uncomfortable now.
Well, and for so many folks, when we hear people talking on the news and the TV, people are speaking from a bigger macroeconomic level perspective. A lot of economists would say we need a recession. We've been needing a recession. For folks that you work with that are in their late 50s, early 60s, on up from there, that are either getting ready to retire or have just retired, recession is not an option they want on the table. This is not beneficial in any way for this group of people. So understanding what proactive moves we can make is the conversation I wanted to have with you today. Obviously, Jon Hicks, founder of J. Hagan Capital, financial advisor, here to share his insight with you. If you have questions, Jon and his team here to help you get some answers. RetirementSolutionsShow.com is our website and where to go with your questions. Let's get to work, starting the conversation with you. We also have links posted in the show notes. As you were saying, based on the tweets and the headlines and all those things, I don't know what's going to happen. Some days we're up, some days we're down. Market talking in correction territory, according to some economists. Many wonder if it will continue to get worse. Wealth advisor Jason Katz was telling Fox Business, he does say, Jon, it's too early to use words like recession. Here's what he said.
It's way premature to use the dreaded R word, or worse yet, the stagflation terminology. It shouldn't enter into the financial lexicon quite yet. I think we are suffering from this short-term pain, and it's probably getting a little worse before it gets better, because that's how markets move. Pendulums always swing too far, both to the upside and, in this case, the downside.
So, so he brought stagflation into the conversation now.
That's an ugly word. I mean, we've only had that one time in the U.S. economy, and it was a paralyzing period of time. Yeah. You'll remember when a peanut farmer, Jimmy Carter, was in the office, we had, lines around the blocks, to try to get gasoline. We had spiraling out of control prices. We had not very good, job economy. And we had inflation. We couldn't do anything about it coupled with a really cruddy stock market during that period of time. It was terrible. And a lot of people today, they remember when they were going through the 70s. And by the way, two of the worst periods that we faced for retirement, for retirees to consider would have been during the 70s. Two of the big five. We're going to go through the other ones here in a couple minutes. Because learning from history is how we can hopefully not be doomed to repeat it. Very important. Very important.
Okay. So let's obviously reflect on history, because one thing we know for sure, we can't predict the future, but as we have learned, history does have a way of repeating itself, so we can learn from the past. Is this event, this current market event though, is it one that's more policy related in your opinion? Can that turn around quickly? And is it, or as you see fit, perhaps something that, is a pullback? Are we long overdue for one, and that can happen anyway?
Here's what I would say. I'd say that a lot of the tariff talk and the uncertainty of the markets is basically just a catalyst. All it is a catalyst, and almost every major downturn starts with a catalyst. There's something that happens at the very beginning, right? The first pin drops. And then as soon as you hear that pin, all of a sudden now thousands of pins can drop, and it just starts a flooding process. So here's the big thing. Going into the beginning of this year, there was not a tremendous talk of recession. Now, we knew going into the very beginning of this year, markets were pretty fairly priced. That doesn't mean super expensive. It just means that they had done a lot of movement up over the past several years, right? But if you look at what happens when you tie in tariffs, a new administration that obviously is going out and trying to change things quickly makes markets very nervous too, because it doesn't have time to digest what the data says. Is this a good direction? Is this a bad direction? We don't know. So we're just going to sell a bunch of stuff, right? It's what we do. But if you look at, there's 5 major studies that I always look at when we're looking at recessionary environments, right? Let's look at them. So since the beginning of the year, the CNBC Fed survey based on will a recession happen is increased to nearly 48%. The call sheet prediction market indicator, 48% chance of recession at this point. Polymarket study says 44% chance of recession. JP Morgan moved theirs from a 20% chance to a 45% chance. And then the Wall Street economists, if you take them all, basically a 50-50, a coin toss. Now, here's what I would say. Even though markets were a little frothy, and even though we have a president, that's going to be, obviously he is playing chess every single piece at the same time, it seems like. He's not waiting for the other side to move. No. He's going to move them all. Now, whether these things happen to be positive in the long run, well, the short run is what the market doesn't like. But when you're looking at these recessionary odds, guys, we have to really take heed if we're getting closer to retirement or we're already retired, because those great runs that a lot of us, we built our portfolios on. We're looking at our account statements now, and maybe they're down a little bit, but they're pretty close to maybe as high as they've ever been. And the question is, not a time to run. I'm never saying it's a time to duck, but is it a time to hedge some of your bets? Is it a time to put some stop losses in there, some protections? Because that's what we're going to talk about. What happens if we do have a recession? The biggest thing, if you're going to go into retirement or you're already retired, is how are you going to maintain your income stream?
Right.
I'm going to say 8 out of 10 clients that come into our office, no matter how much money they've saved, $500,000, $50 million, almost all of them are expecting to pull some kind of income from their savings, right? So I've got clients and they're just divesting of a $28 million real estate empire. Jeez. We're utilizing some trust situations so we can avoid, at the moment, most of those capital gains taxes. That's right. We're mitigating that in the front end. Now, we may have to pay it down the road, but we can mitigate in their situation nearly $10 million of taxes in the front end. That's huge. That's big. But what we got to do is we have to create income for them to live off of, because they're not going to be getting that rental income anymore, right?
Right.
So again, it doesn't matter if someone says, oh, they're worth $30 million or whatever that number is. They're fine. No. If they want to live the same quality of life, they have to have income. So we're looking at strategies that we can use to create that. And one of the best things that happen in this environment, if in the long run, you're still confident in the U.S. as a going concern, which means you think that markets may go up and down, but in the long run, they may be okay, is using a cash secured put strategy. Now, this is based on options. A lot of people never talk about this because they don't understand it. But Heather, this is one of the greatest ways for an average American that understands this, or you can use a fiduciary advisor to help you with it, but you can generate returns on your portfolio, income returns of anywhere between, 6 and 12% a year. We see often as much as 1% a month. Now, here's the crazy thing. It has a tremendous amount of safety net. The way it works is kind of like if you're out there, I'm going to use an example, if you wanted to go buy your dream home, right?
Okay.
Let's assume that you want to go out there and you want to buy your dream home, and you're looking out and you're saying, oh man, there's a lot of houses I really like, but my gosh, they're expensive.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay that for that house. So what this type of strategy does, using a stock instead of a house in this example, it says, okay, I want that dream home, I want that stock, but I'm not going to pay today's price. I'm going to put it in an offer. I'm going to put an offer 15% lower. Now, if that house goes down 15% in cost, guess what? That option's exercised, and guess what? You just bought that house at a 15% discount. That sounds pretty good. Now, why would someone do that? Just because they get a better deal? No. Okay. Here's what we kind of expect. We don't necessarily expect the house prices to drop 15%. And for you putting in that offer, for you saying, hey, I'm going to play the game. I would like to buy that at 15% off. But in order for me to put this offer, I want you to give me a premium. I want you to give me a little something special. And in this example, often we can find maybe you get 0.5% a week. We recently developed a strategy where we can generate close to 0.5% a week of income on these type of strategies. Now, why is this really cool? Because it doesn't matter if the markets go up or down. We're creating income on a weekly basis on something that we want to own. In this example, let's say a high quality house, or a high quality stock like Walmart or Costco, or take your pick, anything you really like, healthcare company, tech company that's all beaten up, whatever you want.
Okay.
And the point is that you're only buying it when you get the price you want. And for you putting in that offer, they're going to pay you to do it. And we've seen people can generate, some really, really shrewd people, they can generate 20+% a year on these things. Now, you're only buying the company when it is priced the way you want it. And in the meantime, you're collecting option premium, which you can spend as income. So in that exact example, what I just gave you is two major things that hyper wealthy people use with consistency. They're using tax deferral or tax mitigation strategies so they can hold on. In my example, almost $10 million more dollars being held on to that they can earn income on. And we talked about using a cash secured put strategy where you can generate tremendous income that does not have anything to do with today's market volatility. It simply has to do with, if you could buy that company, what would be a good price to buy it at? And are you willing to be paid a premium or income for you to put that offer in? You get the choice, right? So those are two really good ways that you can turn lemons into lemonade, even if we have a recession. Because if you go back over the past 50 years, we've had 5 major periods of time that lasted 7 to 10 years, and the market averaged roughly nothing or slightly negative during every one of those times. Yeah. So where's the income going to come from in those examples?
Asking yourself, do you have a proactive income strategy if we do, in fact, find ourselves in a recessionary period? If you have no idea what that strategy is, or if you even have one, now is the time to get to work asking Jon and his team these questions so that you can understand what your options are. Because as we have said before, time and time and time again, good economy, bad economy, Jon, there are always opportunities.
Absolutely. And you never want to not be able to retire just because something you can't control, or tariffs or foreign diplomacy or lack thereof cause you to mess it up. No. We can plan around that, but you got to start yesterday.
Got to start yesterday. And now is as good a time as any to get started. If you didn't start yesterday, making a plan, putting it into place is what Jon and his team are here to help you figure out. A plan customized to you and your goals, that income strategy that you need, despite what Wall Street or Washington may or may not be saying or doing. Let's help you figure it out. Visit us at retirementsolutionshow.com. You can also click on the links we got posted in the show notes, or again, it's retirementsolutionshow.com.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Solution Podcast with Jon Hicks. Begin the conversation about your savings plan with Jon and the team at J. Hagan Capital by visiting retirementsolutionradio.com. Be sure to listen to Jon's radio show, The Retirement Solution, Saturdays at 8 a.m. and Sundays at 9 a.m. on News Radio 840 WHAS.
J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is licensed in your state, please call 502-690-5635. J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through J. Hagan Capital, LLC, NPN number 1882794.